Hey everyone, Mike here. I'm going to start trying to put together a series on different materials that can be harvested and used in fly tying and popper making and that sort of thing. The stuff I'm going to show you today is it's a rainbow lame lilac. It's used to make like wedding dresses and evening gowns and things like that. This stuff's very holographic. They call this rainbow, but it's a holographic material. At least it is after we harvest what's in this material. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Okay, what I've done is I have cut that material that I just showed you down into a square. Now this is the size of my table for making brushes, and I've got this stuff so that actually this one here is the one that I'm going to use, but I'm going to use this piece. It's a little bit shorter to show you how to harvest this material out of there to get to, let's see if I can do this here. See that right there? That stuff is just golden, and you can you can blend it in with these materials here, which is called Kanekalon. What it is, it's a hair extension. And it's an artificial hair, and they use it for extensions. And it comes in packages like this right here. This is like a chartreuse lime green, and this stuff is pretty awesome. I think this one was probably about 36 inches long, and there's a lot of it. Fly tying shops might call this like big hair or something like that. But this is 36 inches long, and it was like $12 or less. I think you can sometimes find it less. And I'll have links to where you can get this stuff on my website. After you watch this video, if you're watching on YouTube, which you probably should, because I don't think I'm going to do embedded videos on my website. For some reason, I think YouTube has a problem with playing videos, your own videos even, on your own website, because it pulls people, the audience, away from the platform of YouTube. And I think, I can't swear to this, but I think they penalize you if you do that. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to have videos on my website, but I will have links to my videos. What I will have on my website is more of a breakdown on the materials and tools that I use and make. So with that being said, let me get to breaking this material down to where we can get to this stuff right here. Alright, that right there, that's some golden stuff. And the way you do it is you kind of grab the ends here and pull, and you probably can't even see this much in my fingers here, but that flash right there, that is probably thinner than even angel hair that you would buy at the fly shop. So to pull this stuff off evenly and consistently, what I'll do is I will grab the fabric that holds this holographic material together, and you probably, I don't know if you can see this, or yeah, you might be able to, is I'll grab this material and pull it out just a little bit at a time, just like this. Okay, and then pull it out just like that. And I'll probably go about 3/8 of an inch or so into the into the material so that I have this flange, this right here, just like you see there. And I'm going to do it on both sides, and I'll explain why here in a minute. But I'm going to keep pulling this locking thread out of here so that I can again expose these tips, and I want to expose them on both sides. And again, I'll show you why I want to do that in a minute here. We'll go ahead and pull these out, and I mean that stuff is like super thin. Okay, so we're to this point here now. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the vise attached brush table, which is very, very convenient because you can put it in place to start making your brushes. You can swing it back around so that you can tie your flies. All right, so we're going to go ahead and, well, let me do this first. I'm not going to really tie a fly here, but I am going to make a brush out of this material so you can see how it's done and how to blend it. Now, one of the things that you want to think about when you're doing any brush or any materials, using these materials, I keep hearing people use this term, less is more. Well, I'm not a big fan of that description of how you should use your materials. I think less is better. You want to use less materials and you'll end up with a better brush, okay? So we're going to go ahead and bring the brush table in, and we're going to leave it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. Okay, so what we're going to do is, this is the hook here, and we're going to leave the table about a little over half inch, 5/8 of an inch away, so that you can, when you need to, you'll be able to wrap. You'll be able to wrap your bobbin around the hook to lock in the materials that you have there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Lay this down. All right, just like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some of this hair extension material. Okay. And the other thing is, you hear people say pencil widths. Well, there's two different diameters of the pencil. You got the lead, and then you got the actual wooden part of the pencil. But we're going to talk more about the wooden part of the pencil. Okay, so that's what we want. This thing's about 1/4 of an inch in diameter, and we're going to take a piece that is probably about, this is 3.5 inches, I think. 3. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. This is 3 inches here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my brush just a little under that 3 inches. So I'm going to grab this material. Another thing that you really want to do is get yourself a pair of really good sewing shears. I mean, these things do a much better job of cutting this material. See how nicely that cut right there? Than any of your fly tying scissors will do. Okay, so let's bring this up on top, and I'm going to spread this out a little bit, just like that. I'm not going to lay it all down right away, and I'm going to take little pieces and just lay them down just like this. And I'm not going to lay a bunch of material down. This material is more for coloring of that holographic material, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we actually get all of this stuff down and put our holographic material on top of this. I do it that way because the holographic material, when you pull it out of the fabric, it does sort of want to bend on you and go kind of wonky crazy. And I've already done it here, but one of the other things that I do as I'm doing this is I've already done it, but I take these bounce tissues, these bounce towels, or whatever you call them, bounce throwaway. Well, you know what I'm talking about, these bounce things here. I take those and I rub my hands with it to get the static clean out of my hands. I will take the take that bounce towel and rub my material with it. Okay, just take it and run it across the material to take the static out of that, and then I will also run it across the fabric to take the static out of that. That way, when you go to pull the materials off, it's not going to stick to you when you go to lay it down. Because if I didn't do all of that, as I pull these pieces out, it would stick to my fingers, and it's just a real pain when that happens. So now what you're going to want to do, let me get back over here, is what you're going to want to do is get this spread out nice and evenly. You want to see the table, believe it or not. That right there is going to make a good brush. So I'm going to take this right here and throw it away. Now I'm going to take my holographic material, all right, and then we're going to lay it down on here. And the reason where you're going to want to pull the material out is through the middle here. That's why you want to skim it down with the binding thread to get to your material that you're going to use. You want to thin it down on each end so that when you pull it out, it pulls it out straight, somewhat straight anyway. And then what you'll do is, man. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is, there's some right there. Let me move that out of the way. You can see it in this background here, maybe a little bit better. Doesn't look like a lot, but trust me, this stuff is going to make your brush sparkle nicely. Now, what you're going to want to, the other thing that you want to do is, as you're pulling material out and you have this, the thread sticking out, the more the threads stick out, the more that your material is going to want to hang in there and get hung up. So after you get so far, I'd say 1/4 inch or so, you're going to want to take your scissors and trim off that stuff so that you can pull it out so much nicer and straighter, and then just keep laying it down. You actually are not even going to be able to see this too well. I mean, it's going to look like you're not putting anything down. Don't talk over top of this stuff because I just blew some of it off of my, I mean, that's how light this stuff is. So we're going to go ahead and keep putting this down. I'm going to put this whole swatch down, or the biggest part of it. Doesn't look like much, does it? But believe it or not, it is. I'll tell you something else you can do too, is you can start coming from the other side. You can do that and flip it around. That way you might be able to go a little faster when you go to trim these up. And I don't think you can put too much of this material here on because it's so thin, flimsy, and transparent. It does have an awesome holographic effect to your materials that you will be spinning up here in a minute. Alright, take this right here, which is called a frother. It froths up cream for making coffees and desserts and that sort of thing. It has a little spring propeller like thing on the end here, and I just cut it off and then take a pair of pliers, round those pliers, and then bend then bend it into a hook shape right there, just like that. Okay, bend it into that hook so that you can grab your thread. We're going to take this frother, lay it down on top, and hook the thread. Pull the table back a little bit. Cross your thread to the back side so you can lock it in. And I hope you can see that. Okay. Now let's go back to, well, let's leave it right there. Okay, so you can, as you're pulling up, you're going to want to kind of keep a hold of the chuck that the rod is coming out that has your hook on the end of it, because this thing will take off. And then, see, you can use this to regulate your speed of the brush. Okay, once you get to a certain point, look at that. You just move your brush table out of the way, let it keep spinning a little bit, and then just take it and brush it out. And then you end up with this beautiful looking brush here. I think you can see that. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. Turn to the side so I can get it against my aquarium there. Look at that. That brush. Now, when you go to wrap it on, it looks sparse, but let's go ahead and do that. We're going to wrap it on here, and let's see. Let's bring the, okay, and I'm going to do something else that will keep me from getting pricked as I bring the material around and don't get stuck on this hook. Alright, so we'll go ahead and wait a minute, I'm forgetting a step here. Take a pair of hemostats and then grab the end of your brush, remove the frother, okay, and then you can just pull it up, bring your materials back, and then start wrapping. Now, as you go along here, you can take your brush and kind of brush out any tangles that are trying to get in there as you wrap your brush around the hook. And let's go back to here. And occasionally take your brush and brush out your brush. Notice I have not caught my finger on the hook down here as I'm wrapping this up. Back, take and go ahead and pull this off and keep your material in there so that you can get the best use out of all of it. With this table you get very, very, very little waste. Alright. Okay, there we go. And then take your brush again and brush it out. Well, there you go. Now all you got to do is brush it back, wet your fingers, and you can kind of just form it with your fingers. Just keep running it back. After you're done tying, what you can do is you can dip these in water. I actually use the water mixed with some ironing starch, and that starch, when you drop it down in there, it does a real good job of leaving your shape a lot better, and it holds the shape, and the longer it holds the shape while it's drying, the better it's going to look when you get it out onto the water and you start fishing with it. But anyway, that right there is a nice looking brush. And like I said, I'm not going to tie off a fly here on this, but let's get a close-up of that. Okay. Blended into that Kankalon. And again, the LeMay Lilac I get at the fabric store. You can get this at Joann Fabrics. Has a better selection than Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby does have it occasionally. But if you want to get your brushes to look like this, there's two things that you're going to have to do. And one of them is to lighten up on your materials. Don't use so much. Less is way better than using more. Don't get confused with less is more, because some people, I believe, think that you got to put on more to make it look like less. I don't know. It just seems confusing to me. But anyway, that is the start of what can be a really nice fly. Again, you kind of want to get this wet so that you can get that teardrop shape in it, like so. And then take it out on the water. I guarantee you're going to catch some fish with that. I got this in brown here. Most of my flies, and I've got them put away right now, but most of my flies are white and has some grays and a little bit of greens and yellows and just highlights in the collars, but the bulk of the fly is white. Anyway, if you've got any questions, drop them below on this video. Hopefully you got something out of this on using alternative materials to tie your brushes. The brush table is just an absolutely awesome piece of fly tying equipment. It just stays right on your vise, stays on the vise, and you can swing it around and have it right there when you need to use it, and then when you're done, you swing it back away, and there you go. It's the most efficient way. It is definitely the most efficient way of having a brush table available when you need it. Now, of course, you're not going to do real long brushes with this. The nice thing about this is you can split your fly with the brushes and the amount that you put in for the tail and the body and the head. You can change sizes and colors as you go up. Of course, you can do that with the big brushes too. It's just the convenience of this table here. It's pretty nice. I do sell them. You can get them off my website. Right now they're running $35. If you're interested, just let me know. I've got about a dozen of them made up, and I can have them shipped out within a couple of business days. And it takes a couple of days because I want to get as many orders together before I go into town, because I live about 25 miles from the post office. So that's why I'm going to use my time wisely. Anyway, if you're interested, let me know. I'd be more than happy to ship one out to you. Hope this also helped you with the alternative material options that you have. If you got something out of this, again, please consider subscribing, hit the like button, and let people know about it, because this stuff is going to get even better in this series of using and making alternative materials to put your flies together. This is Mike. Until the next video, we'll catch you later.